Cory Bernardi.
OK.
I wrote about him on the weekend. I interviewed him. I did a lunchtime interview on the Kenny Report last week, and we're just talking about where things were going, and it just seemed to be, oh, hang on, this bloke realises his show has run into the ground, and we started talking about whether or not he might actually rejoin the Liberal Party. Now, I think he might, but I think it might be more likely that he just leaves politics. The whole experiment has run into the sand.
Well, that's my hunch. Now, look, when Cory Bernardi started in 2017, I was quite inspired, and I know tens of thousands of people across the country were. I thought it was going to be a right-wing version of the Liberal Party, and the first step was going to be like the Greens, get 1 or 2 senators in from each state, and I was quite excited about it. Now, I know it was put... And look, I went on 4 corners in 2017, and I said, Cory Bernardi might be the Ronald Reagan of Australia, and I really meant it. Look, he's a very impressive guy. He's intelligent. He's got a good aura about him. He's right-wing, but he's never said anything nutty right-wing. OK. Now, I know it was put to Cory early on in the party that he should come out with simple, bold policies. Only about 3 of them, like privatising the ABC. And I think he said, no, we'll cut funding. And somebody said, let's have a 10-year immigration pause. And he said, no, we'll halve it. And I thought, gee, you know... Look, Trump won because he said we're going to build the wall. 3 little words. Tony Abbott won. 3 little words. Stop the boat. Now, I think Cory came up with a whole suite of policies. Now, I'll tell you what...
Too sensible, you reckon? Too much of a sensible Conservative?
Well, look, it's politics. You know, the scoreboard is, you know, how do you get the Middle Australia switched on in the marginal seats? How does it happen? Now, you've got to have some cut-through simple policies. Now, I was disappointed this week, not with him shutting it down, but with him saying, well, now that Morrison's got re-elected, there's no point for us to exist. Now, I'm sorry, that is 100% wrong, Mr Bernardi, because, look, we're all thrilled that Bill Shorten's not the Prime Minister. OK, but that does not mean that this government does not need, in fact, it desperately needs conservative critics, constructive critics from the right. OK, now Morrison was recently asked, I think it was in your paper, what are your 2 big agendas for this term? Mental health and NDIS. Now, I'm sorry, this is not Margaret Thatcher, OK? This is centre-left stuff. Now, we actually needed Australian Conservatives now more than ever.
Well, this is what I think Cory Bernardi would do the most good for the country if he stayed in the party, if they'll have him back, Jane, because they do need that Conservative ballast, the sensible Conservative ballast. Tony Abbott's gone, and some of the others are getting closer to retirement, and Cory is really that standard-bearer for sensible conservatism.
He is. Now, Paul Starrick, your mate at the Adelaide Advertiser...
I just told you I don't have any mates.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I hope that gets onto Twitter. I'll retweet that. Twitter would love that,
Staz is a good man. Staz is a good man.
Staz is a great man. He wrote a story on the Saturday edition of the paper saying that Cory Bernardi will probably leave and that Georgina Downer might take that Senate spot. So that was another sort of machination in there. I think you're right. I think Cory Bernardi should stay. It would be good if he could get back into the Liberal Party. One of the other things he wants to do is explore the option of nuclear power. I think that's very, very important. I was talking about that on the air today. There's a fair bit of traction around that. I don't think people are sort of worried about what happened at Chernobyl. I think that thinking people can see that this is something we should look at. So I think Cory Bernardi has a lot of value to add to the discourse.